We're starting.
Where's the camera?
Right there.
Oh, cool.
And we can point it up when we play, when we listen, and we can put it down when we play Pogs.
Looks like we're broadcasting.
Yep. Hello, everybody.
Hey guys,
Hello,
we're starting the second blockchain gaming meetup. This one we have a special guest who's flown here from Oregon for us. Please welcome him, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you.
We today. This one's interesting because a lot of the items we've been seeing are all virtual. We've been having lots of CryptoKitties and cards on the blockchain and all manner of virtual assets. And this is an attempt at putting a physical game asset on the blockchain. I think what we should do is start with talking about the game itself, because what I've experienced here is that not everyone here knows how to play Pogs.
Yeah.
Can you cover the history of Pogs?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I did actually bring, I'll hand this around to everybody. I did bring some rules. On the back, it has some techniques for slamming. There's some game examples and stuff like that. But basically, this was a children's game. I've read that it goes back as far as the 1920s. It's played very heavily even to this day in Hawaii still, from what I can tell. If you go on eBay and try to buy them, most of them are coming from Hawaii. So it was started. Pog comes from passion fruit, orange, and guava. That's the juice that they actually made over there in Hawaii.
It was with the caps, right?
Right. So when you unscrewed it, you had one of these things, and they just kind of used them for marketing at the time. They're like, oh, cool, we'll put a little thing in there. And some brilliant kid decided to start popping them out of there. And it was invented by kids. So these kids got together and they started slamming stuff down on them, trading them, collecting them. Haleakala, I'm not very good at Hawaiian, so hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad, is a dairy company. They were actually the ones that sold the rights to Pogs to Alan Rapinski. Alan Rapinski is the man that created Armor All back in the 70s. So he took this game, he saw a great opportunity, as do I, saw a great opportunity and patented the game. So I can't claim this for myself. The game is actually patented by those guys. As far as I know, the trademark is still there. I don't know if it's necessarily being used or anything like that. But yeah, so the kids were coming up with this. Alan Rapinski took it and just mass marketed it all over the country. It was really big in Israel. It went as far as Finland. I mean, this game was everywhere. So he took it to the next level. Got together with Milton Bradley, and that's actually what you're seeing right here is this Milton Bradley game, who is now Hasbro. And they came out with this big set, rules. That's what I'm handing around here is the rules and the kind of some games, suggested games that you can play with it. So the actual gameplay, what you do real simply, and I'll come over here so the camera can still see us. But basically, we'd all be kind of sitting around. Each of us would have, a few Pogs, and we would, initiate a game. Well, to see who goes first, we would take one of these slammers. I'll take my Beavis slammer. Go ahead and call it in the air. Beavis it is. So you would begin. So then you get to decide. Let's say you just want to throw down 2 or 1 or 3 or whatever.
1 versus 1 always?
It does not always 1 versus 1. So you're in on this. You can play 2. You'll go this way. We'll play clockwise. So a lot of this stuff was house rules too, right? So I mean, it was played on the playground. It was played in hundreds of cities. They all kind of had different rules, but still all kind of basically like this.
You probably have Philly rules and DC rules.
Well, exactly. And again, this game board, and I was telling you guys earlier, is not really the best to be played on. A lot of kids, what they would just do is either just play on the ground or take this, what looks like a mouse pad, right out of it and play it on the ground. But we can just go ahead and play it here. But what you would do, you go ahead and go first. Pick your slammer of choice. I put some on there. Yep. Watch my sleight of hand. I promise not to do too much. All right, nothing. So you stack them back on there. You get your slammer back and go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's what I just got the other day.
The goal is to flip them over.
It's literally a slammer. It's a slammer opener. I know, right? It's kind of cool. It's
no, wait. Just to
It says
recap,
Slam Tech on
like
it.
you said, I read a bit about the game. My
Oh, okay.
understanding was that in terms of house rules from game to game, the one they disagree with about the most is the slammers. Some are considered OP because they're heavy. Like some people don't like metal slammers.
Like
Period.
this big bad boy.
Yeah.
That's the cheater slammer.
Let me show the camera, dude. Which one are we looking at here?
Up top. You'll find it. Yeah.
All right. So there's big slammers like
Is that
this
Loud
that he's
Fire
talking
house
about.
rules?
Um,
Yeah, you can rock it.
Hey, if you guys can all rock
What about
with
this
it,
one?
then
Is this
I don't know if I allow it. But it's not as easy as it
See,
seems.
mine was lighter. Just do a headbutt. So the goal is to flip them over. I don't think I would say that.
Okay,
You're
there you
trying
go.
to
There's
flip them
another big
over.
slammer. All right.
So we want to flip. I
Your
want to
turn.
flip as many of these.
Yeah, well, you got one
Pogs
slam.
as I can.
That's correct, and every
This
one that you
slammer.
flip up with that slammer, correct. Every one that you flip over belongs to you. So that
I feel like you got a
flips.
couple. Here's one,
That one flipped.
Two.
I feel like some of them fell off.
Two.
Yeah. And of course, it's a children's game, so
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are kind of messy.
You gotta see it, and then you get to really keep them when you play. Like, I remember,
Yeah.
I played so much as a kid.
Oh, dude, we're
It
all.
wasn't always
Well,
for keeps, right?
No, not always for
Not
kids.
always,
But some
no.
parents wouldn't let their kids play their keeps. And I feel like I wouldn't let my kids do it, even though I was like,
Because then you'll have to buy
oh, this guy's way too good. He just grabbed a whole stack. They didn't even fly everywhere. Got two left. I heard the light.
I practiced.
Yeah, I
I did.
I played. I played.
I was like, I gotta practice, get good at
You practice on the
Oh.
No. So you missed
Yeah, I
again,
know, I
so
suck
nothing.
again.
Yeah, suck again, right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this one. It's got little holders for your fingers. it looks
Yeah.
like.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, so what you want to do in tournament style,
So,
like beginners can do that, and it says it on the back of that thing. But really, in tournament style, you want to just use the two fingers, and you're just, I mean, it's just all about momentum.
no, wait. But I'm allowed to actually physically make contact like this.
Oh no!
Throwing.
You gotta actually slam it
Some
down.
people could just hammer.
Right. There is one rule that we used to play. If there was just one, we could do the flip just on one. That was like a house rule that we did.
Just to get it over with.
Just to get that damn thing out of
Because
there.
it's-
Right,
it's-
exactly.
it's-
Come on, guys. Yeah.
Oh,
There you
got
go.
both.
Perfect.
Woo.
Nice.
Yeah, so he won and I lost.
Right. And
And I have no pogs anymore.
And I
Four
actually
Pogs.
gained, and I gained some. And if these were crypto pogs, you paid $1 a piece for these things. So I just won $5.
Well, can't they vary in price?
Well, and that's so.
Or you mean the
MSRP.
process of adapting?
Well, MSRP, man. So like, because these are available in stores. My adapt caps are going to be. They're actually at a game store, like a board game store.
Well, now we know the regular game.
So right, yeah. So let me go ahead and so my game it's exactly the same thing. I haven't invented anything here. Okay, all I've done is adapted this to the blockchain. And basically, now that I've won these, what I would do, I would take these here. I'd pull out my trusty wallet, wherever my phone is. I'd pull out my wallet and I'd scan these. It recognizes which ones are mine, which ones are yours, whatever, because this is all on the blockchain. Token IDs are all there with wallet addresses, right? The app recognizes which ones are mine and which ones are yours, sends you an app, tells you, hey, this guy won. Bloop. You gotta give it up. And it's a little bit of an honor system. We were talking about this earlier. Like it is. Somebody could be like, oh, screw you, I'm not gonna give you my pogs. It's like, okay, well, whatever, I'm never gonna play you again, and we're gonna flag you.
Then we have
And maybe
to
even send a message on the blockchain being like, this guy sucks,
just to like drill into people. You're talking about discrepancy in ownership between.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
blockchain would say it's my pog, but you ran down the street and didn't give it to me.
Exactly.
Then he wouldn't be able, if he tried to play another person with the POG and he registered in the game,
It would be like, hey, you don't own this token.
it would give him an error.
It would absolutely give us
So
an
he
error.
would be unable to play other registered owners.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Right.
So these are your sample ones.
So those are the sample ones.
So these
right.
are real keys. So these are private or public keys on the back.
Well, that's the thing. So it's neither. It's that ERC67 BIP that I have. So,
667, yeah.
yeah, ERC67. So basically, what it is, and they're actually a lot finer than these, but it's just a little script. And what it does is it opens up the safe transfer from function with 3 parameters: sender, receiver, and then token ID. And that's really it. And that's all it does. And by doing that, it just, you're able to transfer it.
So if you physically have it,
If you
you
physically
can
have
take
it.
ownership on the blockchain?
No, well, you can try, but let's say you stole my POG,
Yeah.
and then you scanned it, I'm going to get an alert saying, hey, your Pog was scammed. Do you want to give it up to them?
Oh.
And I'm going to be like, no, it was stolen or whatever, right? By so-and-so.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't it? Well, and that's the thing. I mean, well, and remember, this is blockchain. So it wasn't you. It was whoever owns them. It was the wallet.
Yeah, it's mine.
Right? Yeah, it's just the wallet. And
keys,
since you don't actually have the token in your wallet, then, I mean, these are, you can play with them, but then they become almost worthless, right? Because you're like, well, you don't have proof. How did you get this thing? Usually the token is transferred with it. Like, what's up with that?
Like, yeah, in the long term, your system could keep track of people's win and loss records, and they have an account. So that person would have to be playing outside the system at the point at which he stole it.
Exactly. And maybe some Pog black market.
Yeah, if you've gone far enough to create a Pog black market, I'll leave it over. I think it's successful.
Success, right, yeah. So, I mean, that's really the basic rules of the game. Let me grab this thing here. No, you can keep that. That's for you. You guys can keep all those slammers that I gave you. I feel bad. I wasn't able to get my dap caps ready for production by today. So they're literally done. They will be at my house on Monday. Right? Yeah. So I'll just send them up next week, and you guys will have them.
All right.
Not a big deal.
So we get one slammer?
But you guys get to keep the 90 slammers. Yeah.
9, yeah. I don't think we need that.
We often have shirts and freebies around the hack space.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that shelf right there has some random shirts in it.
Swag.
Nice. Okay, swag.
If you don't own enough crypto shirts already, you can hit up that shelf afterward.
Nice. I think I will. Okay, well, if you guys are you clear on kind of how the gameplay goes? All right. So let me kind of get back to where the way I was gonna do this. We kind of skipped ahead a little bit because of
It's organic.
the game and stuff. No, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Not a big deal. Let me just give you a little bit of background. So I'm Dan Pittman, CEO of Qwoyn. I've been involved in computers and programming since the age of 6. 1986, I got a Commodore 64. And just kind of went with that bad boy. It was pretty sweet. It came with a book, how to program BASIC, and I just kind of went through it. And my biggest accomplishment was I made a yellow dot go across the screen, go, and I was like a 7-year-old kid. I'm like, yes, this is the man wrote a game, So ever since then, I was always just kind of intrigued. And before I get too much further, I just wanted to go around and kind of get to know all of you guys. If you just want to say your name, maybe what you do, and why you're interested in blockchain, and you want to.
I'm Alex. I've been a super blockchain nerd for many years now. It's super fun, so I don't stop.
I'm Andrew, also a blockchain nerd. Same story. Got the tattoo.
Yeah, this guy's he's got a blockchain, Bitcoin tattoo.
I've got one of my first wallet address right here.
Really?
Yeah.
Show it. We don't believe you.
Okay.
Just prove it.
Yeah.
So by the way, I've had this since 2014.
Wow.
Oh, this guy is legit.
Yeah.
I feel so
Yeah, you
Wow.
I feel good one now.
Ken Bosak has a tattoo, multiple, one for each currency.
Oh.
Each paid for in the coin that's tattooed to him. So anyway, I've been.
All right, well, that's pretty hardcore.
It happens.
Yeah, no, that's
Nice.
and it hurt like a bitch. I'm not gonna lie, that was insane. So okay, Andrew, go ahead.
I'm Edmund. I've been in crypto since early last year, and right now I'm a researcher for a crypto exchange locally.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm Conrad. I'm not really like a crypto nerd yet, but I'm getting there slowly, and I'm working as a designer, web designer. So.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I'm Francis. I'm from Ireland. I just arrived here a couple of weeks ago, so.
Welcome.
Thanks. It's like a hobby for me, blockchain interest. My background would be in electronics.
Okay. Cool.
I'm Rob. I've been doing crypto arts and other projects for about 5 years, and I now work for a nice blockchain startup.
Blockchain startup. Okay. Cool. Nice to have you. Michael, I think we've talked before. So
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
My name's Michael. I'm a data analyst by trade, and I'm new to the crypto world, but I do day trade.
Okay. Cool.
I'm Shane. I've been I'm kind of blockchain geek myself. Day trade and always just kind of been in the industry and having fun with it.
He's our handyman.
No, that too.
He fixes everything around here.
Okay.
And we don't give him enough credit.
Nice. Well, you got the credit. And yeah, go ahead.
I'm Tofu. I'm a computer programmer and Bitcoiner.
Alright.
I'm helping build the website here for the AO.
Are you using Django or what are you using to build it? WordPress or how you
Vue is the front end.
Okay.
Vue.js.
Yeah.
And the back end is Rebirth DB.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
event sourcing, so everything is like an event that's stored in the database. And then the state of the site is just like calculated by summing all the events.
Oh, cool.
Taylor, is not here, but he's the guy who wrote it. I'm just helping.
Nice.
Yeah, we have our own like mini governance program that Taylor and then this guy's been helping lately. Mostly it was Taylor in the beginning, but now this
Well,
guy's
he probably
doing that
understands.
hard.
If he's doing this on Classic, he knows what a DAO is. Probably.
Yeah.
This space is being.
Yeah, this is
I've
on-
heard of
this is on,
something like that.
yeah,
I've
this
heard
is
of
on
something like
ETC.
that before. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is on ETC, not Ethereum.
ETC, yeah. So I did publish this contract on Ethereum because Gas Tracker IO sucks so bad. I'm not saying it sucks. What I mean is that you can't read the code. You can't verify your contract on there. None of that good stuff. So I've done it on Ethereum, so that way people can go to EtherScan, they can look up the DApp caps and actually read the contract and see what kind of bugs I put in it and all that good
I
stuff.
feel like a couple new Ether Classic ones launched lately. Like in the last week, I feel like there's a couple new ones.
Really?
Yeah, one that has POA network, proof of authority.
Okay.
Yeah, they launched a browser that has an ETC chain browser as well.
Oh.
That doesn't suck.
Oh, there is a couple. Yes.
Yeah, it does.
And
it
literally,
doesn't-
they're like exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like I looked at their website, it's like exactly the same. And okay, I'm gonna keep my and as far as I know, I was looking at their tokens. They only have like one CryptoKitties on.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I'm like trying to find. Like,
Oh no, but I mean,
contact them.
they're the same
If
ones.
you
that-
see me, put my token on there.
they have an ETH Classic browser though, like EtherScan style.
Yeah,
It isn't terrible.
that's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out then.
Isn't terrible.
It's a decent standard to have in crypto.
It isn't terrible. That's not bad. I mean, like my code is not bad.
Oh, wait, just by the way, like everyone loves these dramatic philosophical disagreements. Do you actually have an opinion about Classic versus Ethereum mainnet?
Well, a little bit. I mean, just
I
back
kind
to-
of agree. Like back in the day, I didn't invest in the DAO project, and
Yeah.
even Vitalik himself was like, "That looks crazy." So I kind of had little sympathy personally for those who lost.
The one thing I don't like is the fact that Vitalik did just step in and was
Well, they
like,
bullied
he
him.
just like supreme authority type of thing, where it's like, shit.
I think
you
he
know.
got death threats and stuff. They were
Oh.
bullying him.
Well,
That's just my guess.
well, good for him. I mean, if that's what he had to do and he's not dead, then I'm all on board for it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, the biggest reason I do, my business partner will tell you, he's got a whole freaking philosophy on it. He's a history major and all this shit. He knows a ton about stuff that none of us even know about. Then he's like, oh, blockchain can do this. I'm like, what? It's a thing. But yeah, so he really has an opinion on it. For me, it's cheap. It's cheap. I can transfer one of my tokens for less than a penny. It's cheap. Yeah, that's all it
Gas
takes.
fees
So,
are cheaper on Classic than
well, I mean, it's
new.
it's the same amount, but when you
It's the same
convert it
amount,
to
yeah.
dollars,
Yeah.
since ETC is what
So the gas
90
prices are
or something.
cheaper, but obviously gas is just really cheap because
Exactly, because it's a cheaper
Interesting.
currency. Or
So
less valuable
you're
currency, yeah.
your co-founder, or is he a co-founder or partner or?
So this guy Bill Morris is his name. He's actually the guy who came up with the idea of document and using ERC 721 to document the world. And he wants to see everything on the blockchain. And I'm like, that's cool, Bill. It's a little ambitious for me, but we've worked through it, and now we've kind of met in the middle here with this DApp caps thing, where it's like, well, okay, let's take a game, one thing, and tie it to the blockchain. We'll see how that works, and then we can start maybe incorporating other
So I was just asking. So you two founded this project together, or what?
DApp caps I came up with all my own. Yeah.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
his position?
What's his position? I don't know. He's
Tech lead.
an idea man. I mean, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything technical. Like I said, he's a professor. This is a history professor, and he just. I guess for me, he's more of a counselor. I guess.
Advisor.
He's an advisor.
Project need advisors.
He doesn't.
I mean, there you go. He's like an advisor, I guess. I mean, he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about the technical side of blockchain, but he understands the implications of this technology.
It's interesting that a historical person would be concerned about the Ethereum fork because the argument is about precedent. If he did it once, he can do it twice. And the historian's like, notices that immediately.
And he did, and that's what
that's his
that.
point.
Yeah, and that is exactly what he said. And I'm not gonna speak for him, but yeah, that's one of the things that I picked up from him. I'm like, no, that's not right.
I think we can talk about the values of each side of this philosophical debate without getting crazy about it.
Oh yeah.
There's, you know what I mean?
They shouldn't have forked. It's just that simple.
Damn, fork
Maybe
race.
not a thing in the room.
Like, get forked, right?
I was just curious. Go on.
Yeah. No, and that's a great question. No, it absolutely is. I wish I had a better answer, but you know, I mean,
Bring it next time.
I will. Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
He'll actually be he'll be in Beaverton next week. I'll be speaking for Blockstack and we do the same type of thing for these guys. So he'll be there. Hopefully we can stream it. And if we do, I'll send you guys the link so you can hear his opinion. I'll have him answer that question. Actually, I'll
All right.
ask him. So, anyways, let me get back to just kind of my history. I was born in Germany. I lived there until 5th grade. Like I said, I had that Commodore 64 that I've been tinkering around with forever and ever. Moved to a really small town in Montana called Whitehall. About 1,000 people. I graduated with 42. It's a really tiny podunk place. I helped set up the network there. When they first kind of got internet and everything, I was one of the students that knew anything about computers, so I helped set that up with the librarian. With that, you know, I did everything from beige boxes. You guys heard of phone freaking?
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of like the original hacking. Call people and you know do weird stuff, get free phone calls, Captain Crunch whistles, that kind of stuff. Firebombing emails, you know, and Jolly Roger's cookbook. I kind of just went through all that stuff. You know, it was in the 90s. You could find legitimate stuff on the internet. You know, you could search something, and when you found it, you're like, "Wow, this is actually the thing." You know, it's not all convoluted like it is nowadays. But this kind of led me to keep going with computers and learn how to program. I went to school for computer science and all that good stuff, right? So let's talk about how I came to know blockchain. So I think it was about 2013, 2014. The Occupy movement was kind of in full swing, you know, and all that stuff. And I'm not a big protester, but I felt, you know, there was maybe something wrong and maybe there was a different way. And I tried to figure out, well, what is that way? And it seemed banking was maybe the culprit. Maybe these guys were evil and maybe they were controlling the money. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll jump on board with this. And I learned about Bitcoin. I mean, so literally I typed in, how do I use money without a bank? And Bitcoin was the first thing that came up. And I'm like, holy shit, this stuff's still around? I remembered it when I was going to college. My buddies were buying drugs with it. I'm like, well, it still exists. So then I got into it and I'm learning more about it. I realized, you know, I found out that there was more cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin. And I started mining. I started mining Bitcoin. I started trading, you know, Bill Murray coin, Potcoin.
Kanye West.
Yeah, you know, actually, at the time, Kanye didn't have a coin. Did he?
2013. So maybe if you were
It might have been already too shit by now. Yeah, it might have went to the moon toilet. Who knows? The moon toilet. I like that.
I like that too.
It was my new thing.
I like that.
So, you know, and of course, during the trading, and I didn't really know too much about it. I was just learning at the time and didn't really make any money off that. But I was making money off of mining. I wasn't into buying drugs on the internet, but I loved playing online poker. Online poker was not allowed in the United States at the time. You could not use, like, if you were a U.S. citizen, you were not allowed to play online poker, except if you had Bitcoin. So I went through, and when I think about the size of the hands that I was playing in today's money, or let's say, when I was talking about this story in January, I was like, guys, you don't want to know the money I wasted on this shit. Playing online poker. That's exactly Yep, that's the one. And so I think they actually ended up scamming a bunch of people and bailed or something. I can't remember.
in Canada, so I just play on whatever site I want.
Yeah. And then I around, let's see, what is it, 2018? So last year, in March, I had a bet with a friend of mine. I saw Bitcoin coming back. And I'm like, damn, dude, what's going on here? It's moving. People are getting more interest in it. And I made a bet with my buddy. I'll bet $50 it's going to hit $3,500 by August, or by October. It hit it by August.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Today, you know, on Facebook, they give you the memories or whatever.
Oh,
Today,
yeah.
one popped up. Did anybody buy when I told you? Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah. Have a seat, man. No worries. Yeah, no problem. Actually, you want to hand me one of those slammers right there, man?
You want a slammer, bro?
Yeah, we're giving out free slammers. So,
Slammer for you.
anyway, so I made this bet and I won it. I obviously won this bet.
Oh, you missed the demo.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
have
demo it later.
It's not that hard.
It's
It's
not
not
that
that
complicated. In the wall. Yeah, once I'm done, I'm getting there, guys. Just be patient. I know you want to play Pogs. I get it. So anyways, you know, so I kind of said, okay, nice. I nailed it. I nailed it. I won this bet. Let's make another bet. No, I'm good. It kept going up and up and up. And I'm like, okay, this is actually going to stick around. So then I really started learning about Ethereum virtual machine. Where I was like, what is this technology? The technology was so powerful that the first thing it created was money. So I was like, okay, well, what else can it do, right? So then I started doing this, what I call blockchain explorations, developing smart contracts on Ethereum. I've actually started with EOS not too long ago. I'm still a little conflicted. They're trying to sell me on getting my contract over to them, and we'll see. We'll see if they can get their standard figured out. But you know, at one point, you know, what January hit, everybody knows, you know, it was terrible. It was terrible. So
It was beautiful.
well, maybe for some of you may have known. It's good for you. Terrible for me. Blockchain got boring. Okay, currency kind of lost its appeal. How many thousands of freaking currencies do we need? Type of thing. And the biggest thing was it was really hard to explain. You know, year after year, person after person that I talked to, maybe, you know, people would understand it sometimes, but then be like, "Dan, you know, this is great and all, but can I touch it? Like, where is it?" You know, and I can't even. And I try to use that argument. Well, you can't touch your credit card.
It's on the blockchain.
Yeah, but people, unless you know, if they're not if they don't have this mind, they don't even. It just goes right over their head. And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. Well, a few months goes by, and I start talking to Bill Morris. Come to find out, he got into Bitcoin in, was it 2011, I believe? And we'd actually met at the time and never talked about Bitcoin. Like, we'd never, like, he didn't know I was a computer nerd. I didn't know he had coin. So we just kind of parted ways, and then we met up again. And he's like, look, CryptoKitties, really cool, man. And I'm like, really? I don't get it. You know, that's it. He's like, no, it's not about the kitties. It's about what they're actually doing with the technology, with the metadata, and creating these so-called ERC 721 non-fungible tokens, right? So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. How can we use this? And like I mentioned, he came up with DQMT. And I was like, okay, yeah, we can document stuff. That'll be all right, you know, and I'll write up the contract. And a couple weeks, it was about a month goes by, and I wake up in the middle of the night, about 3:30. There's a flashing light going on in my window. I'm sleeping with the window open. I'm seeing smoke. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I jump out of bed. My neighbor's house was on fire.
Ugh.
But oh my God, yeah, freak out, get them out of the house, call the fire department, everything's fine. Well, they get it all out. I went to sleep. Well, the next day I'm sitting in my backyard and having my smoke, and I'm looking at my shed, and it's all melted and mangled. And I'm like, I guess I have to call the insurance company now. They're gonna want documentation on every single thing that was inside of there, right? So I was like, okay, well, that's gonna be a pain. Would have been a lot nicer if they would have just, when I bought it, given me a token that I can send to the insurance company and be like, here you go, this got destroyed. They can do whatever they need to do and literally destroy the token if they want, right? You know, do whatever, burn it or whatever. So that's when I really that's when I really saw the full potential of what Bill was talking about. Is this let's put everything on the blockchain. I'm like, well, why? You know, oh well, in a case like this, I could have, maybe made a bigger claim, because right, I had to kind of guesstimate, and of course I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, this is full price. I'm too honest sometimes, so I kept it fair. But if I would have had these blockchain tokens, these receipts, I could have went ahead and just sent them out to them. So on to DAO caps. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But now, how can we take this one step further? CryptoKitties has pictures of cats, cartoon cats, on their website, but they don't have them in you can't hold them, right? So I was like, well, what can we do to actually hold the blockchain? Well, there's a game that existed 20, 30 years ago. Pogs, it's a collectibles game. It's really huge, everybody loved it, and it's kind of one of those quiet ones that, oh man, I can't believe somebody else didn't already do this type of thing, right? So we went ahead and I was like, okay, I'll write a smart contract and we will start tying Pogs to the blockchain. It was a game, like I said, so some of these points I've already talked about. It was a game that already existed. With crypto, it's kind of neat now. It's a game for children, but it's also, a collectible for adults at this point. Like you can, your kid goes to the store, they're like, hey, Daddy, I want these Pogs. And you're like, what? Pogs? Hell yeah. Crypto Pogs, this is insane. Now they have kind of their own thing and also a game for their children, and everybody's kind of happy. Somebody was telling me that gaming parlors over in India is a really big deal. I have no idea. I've never been over there. I really want to go. But maybe in the future we can see these guys sitting around playing Pogs, or DAO caps, that is. Again, why we chose ETC. Cheap. It's been working, and even since the DAO, it's been stable. It's been working. Ethereum is constantly being upgraded, so that means that ETC is constantly also being upgraded without even having to do anything. I've thought about moving to other blockchains like EOS, but it's still, I don't know, they need to work some of the kinks out, and maybe I'll get on board at some point, but right now I'm sticking with my Ethereum Classic. Let's talk about, so I know there's not too many techies in here. We've got a couple of guys, but let's go ahead and talk about the smart contract just a little bit. It's actually an ERC 721 contract, which means that there are contracts out there very similar to this. I don't want to mention their name, but they claim to be ERC 721. However, they don't use any of the standard functions. It's just some of the standard functions. They're not actually following the standard, meaning they're not using safe transfer. They're using good old transfer from ERC20, and we all know what starts to happen with that. I've actually
What starts to happen with that?
Well, people start losing their tokens. It's from my understanding, anyways. It's being hacked, and ERC 223 has been the kind of leading on that. I think a lot of it has to do with these ether traps as well, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here. This failback. So I don't know if you guys remember, like a lot of the ICOs were like, do not send Ethereum to this contract, right? It's because they didn't know how to get it out. Now we have this, like I said, ERC 223 failback, which makes my contract not an Ethereum trap anymore. You can send all the Ethereum you want to my contract, please do. I can also, of course, kill the contract if it goes haywire for some God, who knows, in the future at some point. We never know. I did this too. This is gonna maybe strike you guys a little funny, but the buy token. I'm the only one that can buy a token with my contract. You guys can't actually go on there and use the buy token function. And I did that because it's still very new. And I don't just want anybody to willy-nilly go on there and start creating all these tokens that don't actually have a physical Pog attached.
Yeah,
to
it makes sense.
Right. So that's kind of the reason I did that. In the future, I want to, work around that somehow and make it, I mean, it's decentralization. Let's let everybody.
You should have like a proof of manufacture where a person who maybe assigned to their key pair by having proved they have the factory or means to do so, can claim that if they are making a token that there will be a physical component as yours would.
POP.
That's actually, yeah, I like
Proof
that.
of fund.
That around. Yeah, proof of manufacturing. Look at it. We're coming up with new stuff all the time.
Yeah, but I get your point.
Okay, good,
Why
good.
You don't want non-virtual tokens to be delivered. Or you don't want
Non-physical tokens. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly the only reason at this point. Excuse me, let's talk about the 8 pieces of metadata that I put in. I have a type, which the type is real simple. It's either a cap or it's a slammer. Type 1 or 2. Title, meaning, let's take this one for instance here. Title, this is a Beavis slammer. So I would say title Beavis. The description would be shiny metal Beavis slammer purchased at this, whatever the description may be. It's got, hologram type of stuff. Just a simple description. The next piece is a special quality. So I wanted people in the future to be able to actually make up their own games, kind of. I don't want to make up a game, but I want allow others to. So I've given these caps some special qualities. My poison one, of course, that's poison. It can kill you. It can maybe, if you wanted to use it in a game, you can only use that Pog one time, and if it gets flipped over, you get the whole stack. So just kind of like an extra kind of rule, something like that. I've got a yin yang one that's the power is chi. So I was just kind of coming up with these arbitrarily because I'm trying to, I want to keep the future in mind. I want this to be scalable, right? And even though yes, I can just write a new contract, I'd rather not. I'd rather this would be the way to go. I have put in the image location on the website. So https Qwoyn.io/media whatever, and the image that's on your down cap that you purchase, the physical location is also on the keywords, IPTC keywords. And this was a request by my web developer, John Basavi. He said, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if we could put keywords right in the smart contract so when people are searching for you, it just pops right up? And I said, oh, I don't know if that works, but yeah, let's try it. Let's try it out. So I threw that in there. The next one is physical location. So each one of the cards here is named. So let's say this was the first one. This is DC1-1, it being the first copy. -1 being the location. So we kind of have a numbering system to show where this token asset actually exists in the real world. So there's a little, so like if you maybe if you try to forge it, maybe I could catch you. It's and I'm not saying these aren't easy. You can forge this stuff. This is paper with pictures on it, right? But of course that's where the tokens and the kind of the trust basis, the profile on the mobile app, that kind of stuff comes in. And then lastly, the 8th metadata is production type, whether it be wood, cardboard, brass, zinc, whatever you want. And that's really the main pieces of the smart contract itself. Let's go on to the mobile app. I do have some pictures. They're so ugly I don't want to show them. I mean, you can see it. You can come over and ask me later. I don't want to just like be like, yes, I've got a wallet and just throw it out there. And the next thing you know, everybody's stuff is gone. I want to make sure that we can properly audit this stuff and test it and test it and test it again until we actually release the wallet itself. Smart contract's done. The physical pieces are done. Let's make sure the wallet also works properly, which right now it does. You can actually use. Do you guys use WalletEth on Android or iOS?
Nope.
WalletEth actually reads those ERC-67, and you can transfer my tokens with it already.
Oh, nice.
So that's the other kind of thing. I'm like, do we really need an app? But we do because of different things like the profiles, the guilds, just kind of like you're saying, the tracker, how many winnings and that kind of stuff.
And it should be a mobile-centric app because Pogs sounds like a game that's played not always in your house at home, but on the go in a store
Exactly.
or cafeteria.
Exactly.
Which means you gotta whip your phone out.
And yeah, you're gonna want to always have your phone. Exactly. Well, and actually, I mean, with the way that this works is it allows you to actually go home and do it. You don't have to scan them right there and then and there. Like I can leave with my Pogs and you can join now and play a game. And I go home and this is cool. And then I scan them later on, and all of a sudden you get an alert like, hey, Dan said that he won these caps. And since you're an honest guy, you're gonna say yes.
I wish you knew him better.
Well, he's already.
Like I gotta pay for gas.
I'm just
somehow.
trying to be nice, but he's already banned. No, okay. Let's see here. Mobile app. So there's a messenger function. We use Whisper for that. You have just standard wallet functions, send, receive, that kind of thing. We're doing batch scanning and sending since you'll be winning and losing multiples at a time. You're not going to want to sit there and do every single one at once. So actually, Digimark was the company that turned me on to this. So they have this thing where they go and it scans like everything.
Ooh.
It's pretty slick. Yeah, it's pretty slick. And Digimark, have you guys heard of Digimark? They do digital watermarking. They did it for Angry Birds. Yeah, so I've got them on my project. And I'll have a gap cap inventory profiling, like the guilds, the leagues, or whatever. And then just like CryptoKitties and the other ones, we'll have an auction. We'll have an auction platform. If you want to sell your gap caps and you don't ever want to play, but you just want to sell them, then go ahead and sell them on the auction as well. Let's see here. Something that I have not told anybody really, game board. So as you see, this is basically the game board. When we sit down, we stack our Pogs right on top. Now, and you're smart. You already figured out what I was going to say. So the game board will be same thing. It'll have a QR code on the back here. You come up to me and you want to play or whatever, bloop, you sign in and now you're in the lobby, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like that you're thinking the same way as me. And the challenger, so basically the challenger scans the QR code on the coaster, and it'll be coaster size. The big thing nowadays is that kids like to just have this stuff right in their pockets. You don't want to have to bust out a big Milton Bradley game set. They want to be able to just play right now.
It's gotta be the size of a phone.
Everything's got to be just right here. Yeah. Everybody wants it now. They want it. Yeah.
Wait, could you do the thing where if they have to scan the board to initiate a game, you could also encode the rules, like different code.
Yes.
At different
Right on
aspects.
top.
Like mine will be like none of your metal slammers.
Yeah,
You're poison
absolutely.
bullshit.
And you can do it, like I said, with Digimark, we can make it invisible. Like it'll have your beautiful, maybe a custom picture that you want, and people are like, oh, that's cool. And they'll be like, I'll scan it. Well, what do I scan? I'll just scan the picture. It doesn't matter. It's invisible. To the eye. Not to phones, but to us.
It's interesting.
Still
Each
counts.
one's like a battleground with
It
different
is.
rules to battle.
And I'm giving too much away, but yes.
VR
is next. No, I love it. You guys are figuring it out. No, this is great. This is really great. No, I love it. You're, and I mean, you're mentioning stuff that I wasn't even going to talk about. So this is good. This is
Force
good.
it out of you.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like it. Okay, basically, we'll just go over the gameplay real quick. You guys saw 2 or more players sit down, put caps in the middle. Opponents log into the app via your beautiful game board that you have. Okay. Oh, do you want me to beat you again? I'll challenge you.
You guys didn't see how shit.
Oh, okay, yeah, check it out.
So you put the caps down.
Yep, put the caps down.
Like say half season mine, half season his. It's like childhood gambling. Yeah, come down and play. I lost real bad last time, so I'm trying to make up for it. You're in the way of the camera. Actually, yeah, just go to the side, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you're on this road.
So we would normally, and I guess if it's your board, you go first, or we flip to
Yeah.
go first, right?
I'm gonna go.
You go ahead and
And then
show
you
us
take
how
the heavier one, the slammer, and you gotta try and oh my god, I'm so bad at this.
But no, that was good. So just like that, but your objective is to flip them over.
To flip them over.
So wait.
If you hit them better than me, like if you weren't terrible at the game, let me try again. There, see, I got one that time. Yeah, I got angrier. Yeah, I win these ones, and then the ones I didn't flip over go back.
I thought the whole thing. Those are slammers.
Stay on.
Yeah.
Well, see, yeah. So like the way normally, and a lot of people didn't actually.
No, you just put it on the floor.
Just go over here. Like you don't even. You need that. You just do this.
And then you gamble.
Yeah.
And then you keep them. He keeps these though.
Yeah. So go ahead and try to. So the hardest part is hitting it.
Yeah.
So do I let it go?
You're gonna wanna slam it like this, and let go of it.
Let go of it.
Just like click on a tree.
See, you missed.
And no,
I was bad too. It was my first time flipping any.
And beginners are allowed to use, so like just to hold it and get it down, right?
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to be from behind.
Nope, you just like that. Oh, there you go. See,
Oh, let's go.
that works.
Sorry about that.
And he wins your suck off.
Okay. I'm kidding. So you won all the ones, and you put the rest back. The other guy gets a turn.
Oh, and that
turn
I'm guessing at the end, whoever collects the most,
No. You just keep the ones you flip over.
Oh, so it's like
Gambling.
perpetuating.
Yeah. Like every turn matters. Because as soon as you flip, you take.
You missed out. You didn't get the
Yeah, that's that.
I will flip slammer or whatever.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah, give this guy a stack.
Oh, I flipped them all over here.
So you can
Yeah,
see
go
the
ahead,
project
go ahead.
actually have.
Does it have? Oh,
So
you gotta start closer and go straight down.
Yeah.
Grab a heavier one. Because the really light ones seem to be better when there's less of a stack.
The hardest part is hitting it.
Yeah.
Hey, one more try. Just pay attention. There you go. Oh, boy. Wow. Practice. Practice makes perfect.
All
So let me.
But you definitely flip some over.
You definitely flipped some over, and you definitely won some. So then at this point, whichever ones you want, you flip them over either now or at home. You scan with our mobile app. And it sends an alert to the person that's supposed to give it to you. They lost. So there's a bit of honesty, but it's more.
So-
it's a 2FA as well.
Why not
So
like?
essentially, the physical tokens or whatever, the Pogs are with somebody, and you play it this on the app.
No, you play it in real life.
Oh,
You play it in real life. You transfer the token.
Is there any game on the blockchain, or is just the ownership part?
Just the ownership part.
Okay, now and then why didn't you go with something like the Pogs have a private key on them somewhere, or some function where where I can steal your Pogs?
Because then I could watch this video and maybe scan them all and then have them all. It's too easy to steal.
You still physically have them, then you can just always be transferring them. You have to worry. You'd have
I mean,
to
even
cover
somebody
it
just over
somehow.
your shoulder could be like, bloop, and then walk away.
And they'd always have it.
Yeah.
Because they take a picture of it and always take it back.
Yeah. So I mean, I really had to figure out a good way.
You could at least put the public key on each one.
Yeah.
Because then, like, when at the same time at which you scan the board to initiate a game, you could scan each Pog that will participate in the game at the initiation of the game.
Right.
If with just the public key wouldn't be dangerous.
That's correct. And so the way that I've handled that as well is through the digital watermarks on the front, just invoking the view token function.
So is it just digital watermark? Elaborate.
So a digital watermark is a watermark that can be put on a picture and is invisible to the human eye.
Can I
But
scan
you can
it?
scan it with your phone, and your phone can see it just fine.
That's
It's just
cool.
we can't see it, right? So yes, there are probably multiple ways of handling the tying it to the blockchain. I felt ERC-67 was the easiest way to go. And of course, I'm always open to changing things. This is all a giant experiment, I think, right? Even blockchain itself.
We should decentralize gradually and safely.
Yes, exactly. So right now, I think my company is maybe 90% or 10% decentralized, 90% central. But it's really because everybody's like, man, decentralization, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then you got the DAO, and you're like, whoa. Yeah. So we need to take this. We don't know what this beast is capable of. Let's take it slowly. Let's hold on to the reins and take it slowly.
But it is your long-term intention. That's the direction you want to go in.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. So okay, that was the gameplay. Let's just talk about. I'll talk about adaptation after. I want to talk about the fact that I didn't do an ICO.
Yay!
No, we call them IJOs now, an initial JPEG offering.
Oh! Okay, well, maybe I could, and whatever this physical stuff is. But no, I figured, yeah, it would be great to make millions of dollars off an ICO. Sure, hell yeah. But it seems so cheap, and all the and most of the ICOs I've gotten into are supposedly teams of people that haven't gotten as much accomplished as me, and I'm one person. So I'm like, whatever. I work really hard. I come up with an idea. I actually produce it and give it to the, show people. And if they're interested, then they'll buy it, And I'm not trying to give false hope. It is what it is.
Pogs.
Right? It's Pogs, man. And it's crypto at the same time. So I do plan on doing a Slammer pre-sale. So, but that's only because I have something, and the Slammers, they're a little bit more complicated. As you guys can tell, there's like 20 different types. There's like freaking, so yeah, which one do I decide? Which is going to work best for me? So I was like, well, I know people are going to need to buy them at some point to play anyways. They're going to get tired of buying the 90s ones. So you can purchase them on my website. And when they're finished, I'll send them.
This is slightly critical, sorry.
Yeah.
But he came up with a term he made up, initial JPEG offering, where he noted that most blockchain gaming devs or someone would do both, which I think is crazy. But there's two routes you go down: ICO or sell game assets.
Right, before the game exists.
Yeah.
Right,
so they're just JPEGs.
But for most of them, like in the case of the game like CryptoKitties or a browser game, you're essentially selling an image before it opens out. But this isn't an initial JPEG offering because they're physical.
Yeah, you already have
The
them.
game already exists.
The game already exists. You're not like, guys, I'm building a game. Do you want a sword?
Yeah,
When my
exactly.
game comes out, you will have
It's
a
like,
dope
hey, there's
sword.
this game. Do you guys need swords?
I have a lot of swords for games that will
Have
never
you already
exist.
manufactured the piece?
Yes.
Okay, then
Yes.
Then that
Absolutely. Yes.
That makes sense. If the piece already exists
The
and
piece
has
is
already
already
been
exists.
produced by the factory, then that's not.
But then, like, if you're buying it and it's not there, but then they send you a picture to show that it's there.
That's how
you just-
ICOs work in general.
No, wait. In this case, most of the time, it's like the game doesn't exist yet. The
Wait.
sword will be in the
Yeah,
game
validation.
later.
The token, like,
Yeah,
Like,
you
hey,
get the
let's
token
go
now.
full die.
You get the token, but the game isn't out yet, and the token will be a sword later.
We need a
So,
blockchain
but
code
that's the
observing your
speculation
factory
that drives
to
people.
prove
What
that
if
you have
the
as
sword
many
is-
I know, man, I
as
want
you
my
say you
sword.
do.
Yeah,
So
okay.
one, so that when you pre-sell one, we know that it actually exists physically and that you're not
Okay.
like, planning to manufacture it.
Looks like Pog Tether. You just have to trust.
Pog Tether.
Oh my God. We're coming up with all sorts of stuff here, guys.
Pog Tether. How do we know the slammers are real?
Wow. Yeah. The Slammers are, they are real.
Good.
Demos. Oh, okay. So,
So,
again, the demos, I was going to bring you guys
Oh, I
some
know.
blockchain gaming caps. My production guy got a full-time job, which I know is just an excuse, but I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to go beat you up because of it. So I will. They're done. I mean, they weren't at the house today, but they're in production. So they should be there on Monday, and then I can just send them out.
Send us some eventually.
I will. And I actually made 50 for you guys.
Oh,
wow.
There's 50. So I figured that would be 5 for 10 people each. 5 each for 10 people.
It'd be
that's awesome.
We have little tokens like that all over the place. They become historical eventually.
Oh, I love it. Okay. I will talk about adaption real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happens if I have my own Pogs and I want them to be part of your game?
Actually,
Does-
Pog?
No, I told everyone to bring a Pog.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old, I let them go a long time
He had
ago.
no foresight.
Yeah.
My mom's fault.
My mom threw them away.
Still love her, but yeah.
Sorry, Mom, but you
But yeah. My Pogs.
Yeah. So adaption. So yeah, if you have some old Pogs lying around, dust them off, send them to us. We will catalog them, verify that they're real Pogs, create a DQMT token, which is our documentation token. We will create a physical asset along with a DAP cap. That's the exact copy of the one that you sent in. We send it back to you, and now you have 2 Pogs and 2 tokens.
Wait,
One.
2 tokens?
Yes, you get a document token proving that it's been documented on the blockchain, that we did that process. And then we send the DAP cap token that you actually use in gameplay. So the DQMT token you just keep for yourself as a receipt or a proof that it was analyzed and verified by Qwoyn.
And then you send the original one back.
They send the original one with the copy of the original and the 2 tokens back to the person.
Shipping costs, I guess that wouldn't be that much. It's pretty small, but
Right. No, I mean, right now
how-
the user pays the shipping. I'm not Amazon.
yeah, for sure. No.
But
Yes,
so right
not
now,
holding that against you.
they're very expensive. I mean, it's very light shipping.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm only doing the the Pogs at the moment. Like you saw, if you start sending me all sorts of crazy slammers, it's gonna take me forever to even figure out how to make it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, so I know I can create these DAP caps for you. The slammers, let's wait on that. So right now the adaptation is just for DAP.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
The process by which you validate that a POG exists and register it to the chain. Just like we said, where I asked about the idea of letting others do that if they can prove they did so honestly. Could you allow third parties to participate and set up so you would not be the only node?
Yeah,
you can authorize.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
You would have a permission level system, like the one at this permission level. But then you'd have to have a system along the way where you're cryptographically verifying the steps.
They create a chain at that point, right? Yeah.
But you're open to that, you don't
Absolutely.
You don't want a monopoly on the process.
That's exactly it. And like you said, I'm trying to slowly decentralize. I want it to be fully in control of you guys. I don't. First of all, I mean that's why I'm not even making a mobile game. I don't want to open a casino. You guys play, you do your thing, and you figure it out. I mean, it's really for everybody.
I had another question also.
Okay.
Because you were talking about shipping.
Yeah.
Have you talked to 3D printer types about this?
Ooh, yes. Yes, I have.
Can you make a 3D printed blockchain POG?
Well, I mean, I can do a 3D printed slammer. Yeah. It won't be.
It's easier to 3D print a slammer than the POG piece?
Well, I mean, the Pogs are cardboard.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could.
A new wave of Pogs is approaching.
Well, I mean,
3D printed ones.
Well, let's see, there are thinner slammers around.
I feel like Slimer, that could cover your Slimer problem.
You're thinking more like this, right?
For the adaptation process, going that route might become interesting.
Ooh, there you go, where you kind of just hold on to your collectible and you continue to play with your normal Pog,
And just bypassing the cost of mailing it around.
Okay. Yeah, that's dude. You're
I didn't realize the part where you're right, the Pogs are cardboard.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah, no, great idea, but yeah. So right now, but to answer that question with slammers, yes, I'm absolutely looking at that option everybody sent over a drawing to one of my friends.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Check it out. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. The slammers has been a little bit of an adventure. The Pogs were pretty easy to make, but the slammers are. I mean, they're a big part of the game. I don't want to fuck them up, So.
Importance, man.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to the end here. I just wanted to say this little quote. People have always asked me where the blockchain exists. Now I can tell them in their hands. That's a real life.
Let's go with hearts.
Well, it's always in your heart.
Yeah.
Well, it's been in your heart. It's in your hand now. In your heart and your hand.
Thank you.
Anyways,
Pogs.
if you guys got any questions? Yeah,
Any
questions.
questions?
You wanna? I think you guys are done. Yeah, you guys are done with questions. Let's ask
Everyone's ready to
these
slam.
folks.
Yeah, we gotta have we have a required audience participation rule tonight.
Block the
No.
camera.
Oh, whoops.
There you go.
So if we don't participate, do you guys kick us out?
You don't get those
No.
free pods on
Oh, okay, fine. It feels like school again.
Yeah, make a partner
Except in school, they didn't encourage you to play Pogs. in
Yeah,
class.
this is recess. Who hasn't slammed a pog yet? I don't think this
I
guy.
have.
Oh, you did?
I'm
I think everyone got a
I think everybody did get a chance.
I think everyone
You got a chance.
did.
Yeah, you got a chance.
So
Yeah,
who did
yeah.
you slam a pog?
Slam, dude.
I slammed it hard.
Slam that fat set.
All right.
Like shit.
Oh, are we playing? Are we
Was that a
playing?
challenge? Yeah. I was talking to him slamming earlier, that's why he's salty.
All right, no, you go. I'm gonna use the Slam Tech bottle opener.
Get in there. Right?
Are you gonna go first?
Sure. Wait, no, slip it.
Okay.
I call butterflies.
Do this.
No, it's not
It
butterfly.
wasn't butterfly.
It's finger holds.
I'm going back to Bigfoot. Oh, no, I'm gonna do Slam Tech.
Oh! You took the whole stack.
Bye-bye. Jack, bro. And then I just got all your pogs. What do we?
Yeah, it's like, thanks, dude. You just took $20 from me.
I didn't do anything. I feel like you gotta have the stack not that high.
Yeah.
Like it was easier to split the whole stack like that.
Dude, try to do that again that you just did.
No, I know
it's not as easy.
I was hardcore when I was young.
Yeah,
I was hardcore in elementary school. Yeah.
Flip too.
I got a couple out of that one.
Oh, actually, no, that's just
Let's
slam.
not worry about it. Let's just.
I got
I'm sure
one.
this guy can do it again. Bigfoot's my guy.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's
I got
my
one.
guy, Wes. Bigfoot's my guy.
Oh! We have a winner.
Yeah, that's again. It's just no big deal, right?
Like I said, he's already banned. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. Your box there. It's rigged. Pogs in the blockchain. Yeah, I seriously, I went hard. I go hard in every game I play throughout my life. So when I was a child, that was the same.
That was like your thing.
And it was the same. Yeah, it was hardcore.
Yeah.
And Pogs was one of the things I got into. So yeah, I take this shit seriously. No, this is a
No,
little
right.
slammer. I'm just seeing if I got
Right,
it.
let's
You
do
go
this.
for it. You go for it.
Do
Check
this.
Bigfoot, bro.
I'm just gonna have a go at this one. The one I was given to.
You gotta make it land like exactly
Yeah,
flat,
yeah.
perfect, exactly
Yeah,
with that, and then it bounces up and brings the whole thing. Science.
Science.
This is Pog science, bro.
Isaac Newton said that.
Yeah, Isaac Newton said that. You gotta make the slammer land in the middle. Pog science, bro.
Let me get a shot.
Yeah, let's get in here and see what you got. Hold on.
Oh, you're laughing. Look, I'm
Yeah.
laughing. Dude. I got one.
Yeah, you took all my pogs earlier. Of course I'm laughing. So where's Bigfoot? You hiding from me?
No.
Lost my slammer.
Lost your slammer. Oh no, it's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Watch. This is how easy pogs are.
What's it?
Oh, okay, never mind. Eventually my streak had to run
You were
out.
part of the World Pog Federation one day, weren't you? Back in the day.
No, I wish.
Yeah, so I mean, really, that's all I have as far as my presentation is concerned. I will post any relevant links, website, GitHub, any Medium articles, and all that stuff. I'll post it on this video here, and you'll be able to get it.
What's your website? I remember I've always had a hard time remembering it due to the spelling.
Right, but it's very simply said Qwoyn.io.
Qwoyn. With a
Qwoyn.
Qwoyn.
Yes.
Is there?
Sounds like
Yeah, sometimes why. I guess.
COIN was taken.
Coin was taken.
So a lot of people say Qwoyn. That's fine.
That's what I said in my head until now.
Most people say Qwoyn. Yeah. But
I found the name hard
if you
to.
look at it, though, it's Q and W, never see them, but OY makes joy. Right? Joy. Qwoyn. Whatever.
It was a tough
But
name
you know,
for me,
but, I
I'm
mean,
just saying.
think about how great that name is. You've been thinking about it, trying to figure out how to say it, and you've just been thinking about that.
But I will
name.
say, the first time I was like, what was that thing again? And I just couldn't find
You're
it.
like,
that happens too. That's the first thing that happened. Now I know where it is.
right.
And I was able to bring it
I
up
have a
again.
question for Pog owners. Alright, I heard another reason people didn't like the metal slammers was not just because they thought it made it better for them at the game because they feared damage of their Pogs.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Don't
ever
dent my
feel like-
pogs.
Would that piss you off? Someone dents your Pogs?
Well, you're supposed to land it flat.
That's why
anyway,
that's why you use your deck.
I bet if I threw this hard enough, I could dent the Pogs.
Yeah, but only if you weren't on you weren't trying properly. Yeah, that's one like you throw like from the side. Hit it up. That's the cheater one I call it.
The cheater one?
You just drop it.
Maybe it's not that good.
Yeah.
You just drop it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just drop it.
So they're easier to. It's easier to play on the ground.
Yeah, I remember that was just like on the cement.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we go.
He's just dropping it.
Did not work.
No, I'm telling you.
I did better with the other
You gotta
one.
figure your height out, bro.
It's all about
Figure out your
technique,
physics.
man.
Yeah. All right, does anyone have any other questions about Pogs on blockchain or gaming on blockchain as it relates to Pogs?
Yeah.
Specific.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
something I.
Go ahead.
You can go first.
No, Andrew's asked enough. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask like what platforms are you guys releasing on?
Oh, you missed that.
Ethereum. Oh, yeah, ETC. Ethereum Classic.
So,
ETC
the RSS
represents.
21's on UTC.
I'll challenge.
One is now.
It is.
I mean, well, so the standard is an Ethereum core, is a core Ethereum or an Ethereum, whatever the hell they call it, it's a foundation standard. However, you can use it on ETC.
Yeah.
It's the same good solidity.
And
It's
it's
the same compilers over there.
and that's the only token they use right now, or use
As far as I know, I'm the only ETC ERC 7.1.
Isn't 1150 a new thing that recently they were talking about, or?
It's so hard to keep up. The one that I've been looking at lately is 1203, which is a multi-class contract where the tokens are fungible within the class, but the classes are non-fungible. So it would be something where I was thinking like maybe like a Minecraft thing where wood and rock or wood and stone are different, but every piece of wood is the same.
Yeah.
Right. So I think maybe that would be an implementation. Go ahead.
I didn't have a question. I had a comment.
Okay.
Which was that the free beer today, the way I got that was basically because of the Beyond the Void guys. They sent us. We had a contract with them, and they sent us extra by accident in USD instead of CAD.
Oh.
And instead of wanting to work it out further, they just let us keep the change.
Oh, cool.
So I spent it on free beer for ourselves.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But also thank them, the Beyond the Void guys.
Oh, really?
Thank you, Beyond the Void.
Yeah.
Thank you, other boy
And then
guys.
I
They
just wanted
sent
to
us-
thank everybody
They
for
sent us
coming.
1,000 USD instead of CAD.
That's like triple.
It's 30%.
30%. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's triple.
Enough for cases of beer for the next couple meetups.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is what we're doing.
But
Thank
thanks
you
for
guys,
being
good spending choice.
Yeah. These guys.
Don't let that become our thing.
I'm
No,
done.
well,
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Is anyone not slammed? That's what I'm saying.
You wanna keep
I want to
going,
play
or-
this guy because
He's getting good. You know,
Yeah.
I can now tell like a noble.
It literally says big phone. Yeah, you thought I was like naming my slammers. No, they come predate like. Yeah, this is slam tag. This is slam tag. Okay, so we're gonna just play a couple more, one more game. Or all right.
You want to play one, or
I
am I
was gonna say
starting?
this guy.
I've never played Pogs.
All right, let's see what you
One
got.
more game before we
Don't embarrass yourself in front of the internet.
Yeah, get it all right. You got this one. Okay, I'll show you the trick. I'll show you the trick. Yeah, Qwoyn. Yeah. So the trick is, you want to come straight down. You have to land flat. Equal to that, and then the science force all goes down together and bounces up together.
I'm pretty sure that's not how science works, but I'll take you.
I'm pretty sure that's science,
bro.
I'm pretty sure I got the
Hey!
You got some, but you came on an angle, right?
Okay, I
You want to
guess.
be up,
Straight
down,
Okay.
and then the force is evenly distributed and it bounces up. Like this makes contact with this and like.
Oh, and it comes updates.
Yeah, that's the science.
Yes.
I did actually, yeah, the science. Just say it needs the right word.
I know, right,
It's
right.
force. Yeah, so you're still coming on that angle.
Just straight.
Yeah, so you don't have to do like this.
Yeah.
Right? You can kind of do 2 fingers. You go straight up, straight. This when you're flinging a bucket of water. And you know the water, if you hold a bucket of water and spin it around, it'll never fall still, right? Yeah. So you're just basically, once you put it in, straight down. Straight up. Oh.
That was.
I remember this, I looked at this and I was like, my people.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing is, when you have yours, the big stuff. Yeah!
Maybe I'm getting there. I'm
Yeah,
getting there.
it's like cool. Like you guys said, the hardest part is hitting it.
Hey, you've been playing it since elementary school.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got a little advantage. My childhood. Bye, everybody.